Next up on your Feel Good Breakfast Show, let's head on over to the final frontier.
Space, the final frontier. It's cold and unforgiving, and that's why we get to experience it from the comfort of our living room every Friday morning with John Weltman from the Foundation of Space Development. Now, what could be more frustrating than to be floating in a high Earth orbit and not being able to update your Instagram or your Facebook profile? Well, Elon Musk, the visionary tech mogul, wants not only to send tourists into space, and we've seen how far he's gotten in that endeavor, but he wants them to have Wi-Fi when they get there. So SpaceX has been quietly laying the groundwork for a globe-spanning satellite network that will bring the internet to space. Musk has been working on space internet for a number of years now, but the solution isn't obviously as straightforward as one would like it to be. What is straightforward, however, is knowing when to crack open a cold one in zero gravity. So today we're talking about a very different type of space export, first encounters of the hoppy kind. Absolutely love it. Jono, what a cool era we live in. We've dealt with all the semi-important stuff, putting people on Mars, sending tourists into space, communication, internet. This is groundbreaking. Beer in space. Yeah, but absolutely. How do we get bubbles in zero gravity?
Yeah, well, look, fizzy and zero gravity just don't work. They're a very bad idea. You know, that's because fizzy has a force, and so if you open something fizzy in space, it goes everywhere. And astronauts experience something called a wet burp, which is a terrible thing to witness.
Thank you for not showing us those.
But to avoid that, so they spin around in space to separate liquid and gas, so that you can burp in space. They actually have to do that. So
this all says to me that we're getting into a very real era of space exploration, because as much as we'd love to divorce ourselves from the pleasures of life, we need beer. We need to have those creature comforts. We're moving into a space where we can grow stuff, and presumably on the space station, and as we progress to Mars, we are looking very heavily into growing and brewing and all those sorts of processes. What will it take to actually grow barley and hops in space?
Yeah. So what's happening now is that corporations are getting involved with understanding that we're going to see a large migration and that people are going to need entertainment on the way to Mars. And then when they arrive on Mars, they're going to need
You're going to want to crack open
right?
one.
You're going to want to crack open a cold one. So at the recent South by Southwest Festival, you know, the largest brewer in the world held a panel where they brought in astronaut Clay Anderson, they brought in Katie Mara from The Martian to host it, but they brought in, they announced a major investment in CASIS, and this is the exciting thing. That's the Center for Advancement of Science in Space, who basically run the experiments on the space station. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the grains of barley malt, we're going to take them into space, bring them back to Earth, grow them, harvest them, and ferment them and see if there's any change. So that we know what would happen if we tried to do this on Mars, because obviously they want to brew on Mars. They've announced that they want to be the first. So they've made a major investment in the science behind how we will grow and brew.
Well, this really does highlight the importance of space discovery and those scientific milestones, because it gets to permeate through other areas of agriculture. Is this does this paint a picture of a much bigger thrust into that space? Are we going to see big business now starting to get involved in space?
Yeah. We've spoken a lot about the space economy and the difference between space economy and Earth economy. Everything that happens in space right now is actually earthbound. It's all built here. It's all the money is spent here. But the space economy is when we start actually doing things in space, and that corporations, as opposed to governments and scientists, are starting to think about how they're going to gear up for the future. Makes it even more real, doesn't it?
Oh man, I hope my son gets to open a beer in space one day. Jono, thank you so much. You blow my mind every week. Awesome to connect with you. Well, you can let us know. Would you crack open a cold one in space? How important are those creature comforts to you? Hit us up on our Expresso Morning Show Facebook page. There's still plenty of fun coming on this Friday. What's coming up, guys?